And we're back. Early signing day rolls on, and the Texas A&M Aggies rolling on. Looking at a potentially historic recruiting class there in College Station. Number of guys, Walter Nolan among them. We're looking at a number of guys that are either in the fold or set to be in the fold at some point later today. But man, this is a class that we've talked about a lot in the last hour. We're going to have Jimbo Fisher on momentarily to chop it up with us. Really, really interesting, because I think from a broad perspective, guys, a lot of people look at this class as this sort of shift in the dynamic. They're in the bubble, so I don't know if in the weeds they feel like this, but this feels like, you know, Texas A&M leveling up, much the same way it felt like when we watched them storm the field in College Station after they beat Alabama this year.
Well, you look at the quarterback in this class, Connor Wigman. The Quinn Ewers sweepstakes hits the state, and Texas A&M is not playing in that game. I heard that Jimbo Fisher and his staff love Connor Wigman, and that's the guy that they're investing in the future to be their quarterback down the road. And obviously maybe they still go in the portal here for one in the short term. But I think that Connor Wigman is the guy that they wanted to invest in the 2022 class, and he's a guy that has all the talent to help take Texas A&M up a level.
And we head to College Station now, and we join Texas A&M head coach Jimbo Fisher. Slightly busy on this afternoon, so we very much appreciate him taking time to join us. Coach Fisher, you probably woke up at like 3:17, so now it's 3:17 in the afternoon. What's the day been like there in College Station so far?
You know, really good. I mean, so far so good. I mean, no surprises of anything, anybody backing out or anything in that regard, which you always worry about. And we still got some huge announcements coming for the rest of the day that, you know, hopefully we feel good about, but we'll wait and see when those come, you know, till they say it and do it. You know, you still keep your fingers crossed. But right now it's been a really good day, really good day.
We were talking here on the desk, and a lot of people are talking nationally about this class being historic for Texas A&M. And we watched you beat Alabama this year, and we saw the field storming. And there are a lot of things that feel historic about the program, but we're watching from 50,000 feet. You're in the weeds there. You're running things every day. Do things feel different in this class? Is it that much of a shift like it maybe feels on the outside?
Well, I mean, I think people realizing what we can do, where we're going, where this game is going, what our future is here, and what A&M can present for them, not only athletically, but for life after ball, education, and everything else. This place is all encompassing. It has everything it needs. They're committed to winning. They're committed to doing everything. We've gotten great classes the last 3 or 4 years, and they see that we're ready to make a hump, and they want to be part of something. And you want to be the first to do something, not just another guy who does something. And this place can be very special, and I think they see it. And the guys in Texas are staying home, and then we're able to go out and cherry pick some guys across the country to come to us instead of people coming in here and getting our guys. So it's been very historic in that way, and I think hopefully that'll be the trend from here on out.
That was a loaded answer there. There's a lot of themes in the last few years in recruiting you just hit on. I wanted to go back to keeping your guys in state. Your quarterback there, Connor Wigman, our Steve Wilfong, was just talking about him and how every headline's been about Quinn Ewers and where's he headed via the transfer portal. And you guys weren't really involved in that. And it probably speaks volumes, correct me if I'm wrong, to how confident you are in the quarterback you already had in your class.
Well, those guys are all great players, but I've invested from them, number one, when they were the same. I think this guy's the best guy in the country. I think he can do everything you have to do. He can, more important, besides the running and the throwing, he's unbelievably competitive. He's unbelievably tough. He affects his teammates in a great way. And there wasn't a lot of Division I players on his team. And when he played, they won, period. Took them deep in the playoffs, and then if he couldn't play the game, they got beat. Now, whether they won it or not. But the way he affects his guys, his arm, his leg, he has unbelievable access. I had him in camp. His release, his intelligence level, unbelievable learning abilities. Can run as a legit 4'6", high 4'5" guy, makes you miss, big, physical. And, you know, I mean, there's nothing he can't do. And when you put the intangibles with the great ability, I think he's the best one in the country.
Let me ask you this. You're talking about quarterback there, and you're talking about those characteristics you always look for. I'm looking at some of the perimeter skill talent here, too. Are there things offensively you've wanted to do in your tenure there that you have not been able to do to this point that personnel like this will now allow you to do?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, you go back. I've had guys that won the Blitnikoff. We had all-time leading receivers in the SEC. We had tons of first-round guys, a bunch of guys at Florida State. And our, you know, we got banged up and bruised up. And we've had great tight ends, great backs. And when receivers have done really good, we get some guys who can get up, get to top, taking off the defense, get down, make the big plays, and really stretch the field in so many different ways. And that's what I've always done. We've been able to always run the ball, but have balance. But you got to stretch the field, those actions, and deep ball threats. And I think this class will allow us to do that when it's all said and done.
When you self-scouted and self-assessed Texas A&M football and you looked into this recruiting class, what were some of the most critical traits and factors you wanted to address?
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you what, we get into ability. I want to get into competitive nature. I want to get into intelligence. How important is football to you? How do you want to compete? How are you willing to do all the things that go with playing football? Because today we're getting all the glitz and glamour, but at the end of the day, the great teams can play all phases and can be physical, can do the things you have to do. But now we wanted the speed, guys, difference makers who touch the football. Everybody who touched it, can they score with it? Can they stretch the field with size, speed? You know, we've got some great guys in this class that, and I can't talk about all of them yet. Some of them I haven't declared yet and what we're doing, and we haven't made announcements. But I mean, I think receivers that can really stretch the field, but play deep, play quick, play fast, backs that are physical, strong, and can really run quarterback like we talked about. Offensive line, I love our offensive line class. Way it's coming into play. Hopefully it'll finish right. Our defense, we hit it all the way across the board. And you got to be able to cover in the secondary, and you got to be able to affect the quarterback. The guys who put their hand in the dirt up front can affect that game. And then linebackers, I mean, guys can run sideline to sideline. And we also, in the kicking department, we always have to have great kickers. Now, I've been blessed to have some phenomenal ones in my career.
You look up and down the staffs. You've been a head coach of a lot of them now in multiple conferences. How do you compare the staff you have right now, top to bottom, from a recruiting standpoint to the ones you've had thus far in your career?
One of the best ones I've ever had. I think our support staff and the number of people we have and the quality of people we have, and I think that's a big part of this. That's the new way we have to do things. The attention, the calls, the amount of information these kids need to get. As a coach, you have to coach. You can't do it all the time. So I think the support staff is extremely critical in the development of your program, and I think our support staff has done an unbelievable job in that regard.
We've talked a whole lot in college football about the transfer portal, and everyone's got their theory on how they want to handle it and how much room do they want to leave in their signing class. And I don't really know that there's a firm answer to it because I don't really know that we have firm sets of rules year over year in college football right now. But when you guys are meeting as a staff and you're figuring out how do we want to work this thing from a numbers standpoint, what do those conversations sound like these days?
Well, I think more important, it goes it's like every play. Certain plays are good versus certain defenses on this team, but the next team they're not as good. And it's the same way here. What are your needs? What is in your recruiting class? Is there some guys you think can make an immediate impact in your high school recruiting class? And if not, what is out there in the transfer portal? And that's based off all your needs. Each situation differs year by year. It differs. Some years it may not be any. Some years it may be 3 to 5. You don't ever know. And that's based off. And how can high school guys come in and make an impact? Can they come in early and be early enrollees? All that plays into the facts of how you have to recruit for the future, in my opinion.
When we were talking mid-season, there were a lot of job openings around the country, and there was your name involved in them, and I loved your press conferences. I thought a lot of other people got some entertainment value out of it, but I got to imagine that signing class got some finality in their minds about any kind of rumors they heard out there. Two things. Number one, how important was it to shut that down? And number two, packaging that with the scene. When you guys beat Alabama and the momentum you build off of things like that, how important was that leading up to today and then into February?
I think both. And I think the year before, too, finishing the fourth in the country, knowing that we could be an elite team in this country. I think all that is encompassing. But I think this place can be special. I think it has every tool. They're investing in it even more. They're investing in the staff, the things we have, what we're able to recruit. And I think we can make this the program in the country. I truly believe that. I think it can be as good as any program in the country. The recruiting base, and now we're going out nationally and being able to recruit. And I think A&M has never done that. We've been able to do it. Our coaches are doing it. And I think it can be very special. And I mean, I knew we were recruiting a great class, and I think it's very important. Now, you want to build something and be somewhere. The other jobs that we had were all tremendous opportunities and great places. But, sometimes you got to stick your feet in the ground and make your own. And I think we can do that here about as good as anywhere in the country.
Texas A&M head coach Jimbo Fisher. Coach, we'll get you out of here on this. You mentioned difference makers. I've heard you use that phrase over and over again in this process. When you speak to those alumni and you speak to those big-time donors at Texas A&M later and they want to know, hey, difference makers, where am I looking? Who are some names I need to know, even coming into the spring? Where are you pointing?
I can't say all of them are. I can't say them all because our class isn't finished. I'm not allowed to talk about all of them. But I'm going to say this. I think we have them on offense and defense. I think in the skill positions. I think at down positions. I think on the offensive line. I think if you look at our class, I think it's eat up with difference makers. I really do. And I always say this. When you've got to coach every yard, you're in trouble. And every call on defense has to be special. Guys got to make plays, and I think we can do that. Everybody who's touching the ball in this class, I believe that is very special, or in any way. And I think the guys defending it are too. And I think they can cover. And I think we can affect guys with our front seven too.
Texas A&M head coach Jimbo Fisher. Historic day there in College Station. Appreciate you for taking a few minutes to join us, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
So there you see the class right now. It's a fluid number 3, but it's a number 3. And I don't know if you guys noticed, he only mentioned it about half a dozen times, but there are still to come some big names that he can't talk about yet, obviously. And so where could this class end up? And also, Is this historic? It feels historic. It just feels like it's a different level for Texas A&M, which we were kind of talking about before we brought Coach on there.
Oh, he's the guy that got the first monster contract, right? And it was because he was going to come in and recruit at Texas A&M. And I think we're finally seeing him in his stride here. It's funny, he almost had to remind you of the rules that he can't name guys until they sign. We'll see. Tons of big names in play. Some guys, NLIs they're waiting on. Again, we keep talking about Shamar Stewart. I like Shamar Stewart for them. I like Harold Perkins. I know Steve likes some other guys as well.
Well, when we come back in February and do this again, Texas A&M is still going to be a team that we're talking about relevantly because Harold Perkins will still be out there in play. Shamar Stewart, those are guys that will be signing in February. But yeah, this is a class that's loaded. When you're ranked that high, you got players on every side of the ball. And obviously, I think he was hinting at Evan Stewart and his LOI because you were talking about, or NLI, excuse me. They're all
a lot of acronyms.
All those acronyms are getting me crazy here. But I think one guy to talk about in this A&M class that people aren't saying enough about is the safety Bryce Anderson, quarterback on the high school level, but one of the more athletic players in America. 4.4 speed, 10.4 speed in the 100-meter dash. Hopefully I didn't just slight you a tenth of a second or two, Bryce. But you can run. He's an instinctual football player. He's a physical football player. And I think he has all the traits to be a special safety in the SEC.